everyone, Samhita here. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're not going to be talking about attachment styles or about any psychology related thing in general or even astrology. We're going to be talking about something parapsychological and esoteric and a little bit out of the realm of usual topics of conversation so far on this channel. I'm going to be talking today about out of body experiences, and in particular, one of my out of body experiences. I've had quite a few over the years, but one was very, very notable, and I want to share that experience with you all. And I think it's a pretty cool topic to share. And this is a story that I love telling people because it is something that I feel like is a life experience worth sharing and talking about. So, having said that, I'm going to delve into today's video and give you a little bit of context and background. Ever since Rahu moved into Revati, for those of you who do have context to Vedic astrology, ever since the North Node in tropical astrology, which is Western astrology, you will think that you know that. The North Node, which is Rahu, moved into Aries, but actually the North Node in the Vedic system moved into Pisces, specifically into Revati Nakshatra, which is a nakshatra that I was born with, in the sense it is my birth nakshatra. My moon is in Revati. Anyway, that was a lot, and I did say we're not going to talk about astrology today, and we're going to talk about something else. So I'm cutting that short to tell you the reason I gave that context is because ever since that happened, I've been delving a lot into things like life after death. I've been watching a lot of Tyler Henry videos, among other mediums videos. I've been watching that show on Netflix, Surviving Death and Life After Death, and just generally exploring, reincarnation documentaries and being very fascinated with what's after life in general. I don't know why. It is, as the Revati Nakshatra moon, it is something that I've always been fascinated by. It is a topic of conversation. Death is something that I do think about, talk about. More often than not, not the concept of death itself, but like what lies beyond and how it's not the end and it's just like a transformation. I'm very highly aware of how not everybody likes to dwell in that as much as I do, but I do really my mind dwells a lot in what's beyond everything here on earth and everything material we can obsess over. My mind always keeps going to other things like life after death. I'm going in circles, but like, yeah, as a day with the moon, I think that's very typical. Anyway, having said that, I've been delving a lot more into those things lately. I've been having very vivid dreams, hearing things, and I don't want to say things like that out loud, and people will think that I need help, but no, in general, I just feel like I've been more susceptible. In the day and age that we live in, I feel like human intuition is subdued. Human sensitivity to esoteric or subtle things, subtle realms, subtle things like energies, and it's kind of subdued and like dulled down because from the things we do, like the foods we consume, the processed foods we consume, the content we consume visually, and the environments we live in, the people we interact with, and our idea of associating alcohol, substances to celebration or leisure or recreation. I feel like the lifestyle that we collectively, most people live as human beings, really dims down our spiritual sensitivity and our intuition and our ability to be more receptive to these things. And I mentioned in previous videos about how intuitions really dull down, dim down in people who consume substances, and I have a video on that as well. I'll probably link in the description below. But I have been substance free, which includes alcohol free, not caffeine. I love coffee. I cannot do without coffee. Love coffee in the morning. Love coffee on a good evening. Also, sometimes even as a nightcap, because come on. But other than that, I have not really been into consuming things solely because I've noticed, like both as an astrologer and as someone who's highly spiritual and who loves adding spiritual practice to her day-to-day life, I've noticed how substances just take yourself away from you in a lot of ways. And I don't want to digress into that topic now, but like because of the lifestyle that we live as human beings, I feel like, oh my gosh, there's so much being taken away from us in terms of our sixth sense, our psychic abilities, and the stuff that we can do as human beings. And we're relying a lot on machines for things that we were able to do even before, like whether that's telepathically send a message or like, I don't know. Again, I'm digressing. But having said that, The reason I'm bringing this up again is because I have to lay the context for the story I'm about to tell you about my out of body experience. 2019, I did a yoga teachers training course for 21 days ish. Um, it was right before I had to leave to America. I was gonna do a dance diploma in America, and I was born in the States, but I grew up in Bangalore, India, and I would frequently visit America. But then this was a time in my life where I thought, okay, I'm gonna settle down there and for like a decade-ish, and then maybe come back later. And I was looking to move to America until my 30s at least. And the pandemic had different plans for me, and yeah, anyway. But yeah, so basically what happened is I wanted to do a yoga teachers training course at the Art of Living. And as a lot of you as viewers may know, I'm through and through an Art of Living kid. I grew up under the guidance of Art of Living teachers, and my family's into the Art of Living. And it has been my spiritual backbone for my entire life, and it has been my guiding path in light for exploring all things spirituality and more. So yeah, this yoga teachers training course, I basically enrolled. It was like February 2019, and it required us to live a yogic lifestyle, which meant, be very particular and careful about what we put into our systems, what foods we'd eat. So we were always eating khichdi, which is like rice and lentils, rice and dal kind of. We were just eating rice and lentils, fruits, and like not even we were not even allowed to have coffee and tea. We were having just very minimal amounts of food, and very bland, clean, no processed sugar, nothing, no coffee, despite me saying that coffee is the one thing I will not give up. Yeah, those 21 days we went without coffee. It was just we were living a lifestyle that sort of cleansed our gut a lot, and we were sleeping by like 10, 11 p.m. and getting up by like 4, even though that's not enough sleep. We were meditating so much and doing so many spiritual practices that it sort of compensated for the lack of sleep. When you do meditate more, you don't need that much sleep to sail you through. So yeah, we were meditating a lot, and we were doing a lot of spiritual practices and processes. Um, it was like we wake up at 4 a.m. and then go to yoga, and then do kriya, and then like help around, do seva, and then breakfast, and then come back for like studying yoga sessions, Patanjali Yoga Sutras. So interestingly, it had a lot of this yoga course had a lot of those of you who've done things like Vipassana, who've done yoga training courses, you know how extensive it is. Your whole day is packed from morning to evening. For the first 1 week or so, we were even not allowed to check our phones. We had given our phones up as well. So it was really dimming every external influence that we have in our lives in the world today, and just living a lifestyle of like minimal food, basic necessities, minimalism in every way possible, and just prioritizing being light in our bodies and lighthearted. And it was a very, like I said, a yogic lifestyle. And the first 1 week to 10 days, as much as it was like rejuvenating, life changing, it's really hard. Like your body literally goes through withdrawal when you're living a certain way. You're used to having, like, I don't know, coffee. Maybe if you're used to sleeping 8 hours a day, you're used to coffee. You're okay with, like, I don't know, the food that you're eating, whether that's a peanut butter jelly sandwich or if it's like an avocado smoothie bowl. Even if those things are healthy, a lot of the stuff that we do consume has a lot of hidden processed things like white sugar or gluten. It was really hard to adapt to that lifestyle because our bodies were rebelling against that lifestyle. We were like, wow, this is really hard. And I think it was like the last month I had in my city here in India, in Bangalore. And I was like, I have a lot of friends in the city. I had a lot of my friends are in different parts of the world, in different countries now. But I mean, of course, I have other friends who are still here. But like, yeah, I think everybody I knew and loved, everybody, all my ride or die people were in the city, and I was leaving everybody, leaving my family, and going to another country. So I guess I was really, really homesick in general. And this yoga training course was residential in the ashram, and we were not allowed to go back home because it was residential. So I think that was the longest I've been away from home. I've been on 1 week vacays, but not like 21 days away from home, I guess. So it was the longest I was staying away from home. And that first time I was gonna be away from home for months on end succeeded this particular stunt of me, uh, just giving myself a microdose of how it would be to be away from home. So I was really homesick. I was like, why did I sign up to do this? Why did I agree to do this? No, no, no. I did know that it would give me a lot of courage, and I guess I was seeking that. I was seeking to be prepared mentally and spiritually for it's a big change for me. It was like I'm someone who thrives on emotional connection, and I thrive on, feeling emotionally close to my loved ones. So basically, I was leaving all of that and I was going um, to America to pursue dance and, try and make my way on my own in a big city away from home, get out of my comfort zone. I was more naive in a lot of ways, but also enthusiastic, energetic to just go out there, put myself out there, break out of my shell. um, but yeah, life had other plans, but I had a lot of fun. It was an amazing learning experience. But however, I'll jump back to this. I was in this yoga TTC for 20 days, and we were living a very yogic lifestyle. So somewhere along the 10th day of the TTC stands for Teachers Training Course, we did our sadhana, which is spiritual practice, and then we were in shavasana, which is like a rest state after your spiritual practice, so that all the energy that you've accumulated can assimilate into your body, and you can, sort of relax once you've cultivated that energy. It's like bringing your state of mind and body back to equilibrium. It's a state of deep rest. It's called shavasana. In Sanskrit, that quite literally translates to the pose of the dead, which is like you just lie there like a dead body. So during shavasana, I was like 10 days into the course. It was like a sudden change for the mind and body. We didn't have our phones. I was having all sorts of withdrawal from like coffee, withdrawal from like sleep, 8 hours of sleep, withdrawal from the lifestyle I was living, withdrawal from having access to screen time and all of that. So I think I was really homesick, and I kept counting down. Like once, I go back after this TTC, I have only 40 days left in this city to meet everybody, to spend time with my loved ones, to be in my room. And then I have to go to another country and start a new life there and start over, start from scratch. Everything was very scary. So I found myself thinking about home a lot, and I was very homesick. So during Shavasana, I randomly found myself at the front door of my house here in Bangalore. And I walked through the front door, and my dad was sitting in this gray and light blue t-shirt that he has. He was reading the paper, he was facing the balcony, and he was sipping coffee. Now this was like around 7 in the morning. And we had started our yoga, sadhana, everything at 4:35 in the morning, and then we were wrapping up and we were in shavasana at 7 in the morning, which is like the final state of rest before we would be dispersed to go eat breakfast. After that, what happened, I found myself being like, oh, okay, here's dad. And then I went into the kitchen, and then my mom was there, and she was cooking something, and she was talking to a friend of hers on her phone. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I made my way to the staircase that leads to my room. I was like, okay, cool, let me go to my room now. I'll go and lie down in my room. Then, as I was in the middle of the staircase, like as I was climbing the stairs, bang in the middle, I had this realization, like, wait, I'm not really here. Like, it was like this feeling of like, okay, I can see everything, but this is not where my body is, or I'm not here. And then I remember not knowing where exactly I was or where to locate my body. And then there's like this gigantic globe, sort of holographic, sort of screens in the shape of like a globe around me that started forming. And those screens, it was like, imagine like an iPad screen or like a TV screen, like but they were flat, like they were like screens, and then they're holographic screens, and each screen was like yay big, and there were like multiple screens in the form of a globe circling around me. And then I could see different timelines and different lifetimes. They all felt like my memories, but most of those screens had places and visuals that I've never seen in waking life in this lifetime before. It was like different places, and even in this lifetime, it was like a sea of memories. And I remember just like looking through those screens, like, where am I? It was so instinctive. I don't even know like how I knew to look for where I am in those screens. But it was like insane that that happened. Later on, when I started watching near death experience videos, like I had not watched those videos back then when I had this experience. In fact, I started delving into near death experience videos only like this year. Like I knew people had near death experiences, but I never really dove into different people's experiences and binged watched near death experience videos of different people. It is then that I realized when I binge watched that a lot of people talk about a globe, a lot of people talk about a holographic globe of memories, and so many of them talk about like this. The TV kind of thing that is viewed in the form of a globe or a sphere. So many of them talk about how they felt like they saw like their life review in the form of a spherical screen or like multiple screens, which is insane to me because I had that experience. So when I was watching people share that, I was like, geez, I have had this similar experience. So then I suddenly realized when I was like looking through the memories, my hands keep doing this. Wow, that's actually a dance move. Hey, okay. So I then realized like, wait a minute, I am not here. um, then suddenly like it clicked. Like I was like, oh, I know where I am. And as soon as I realized or I remembered where I was, I found myself outside of the yoga studio that we were all in the ashram. And then I entered through the door. The doors, they were like big wooden doors and they were closed. I entered through the door and then I saw like all the 50 people who were enrolled in that course in the teachers training program lying down in shavasana. And then I was like locating my body, and then I found my body and I was like, oh, here I am. And then I remember distinctly like lying down into my body, and then I woke up with a jerk. It's just like those falling dreams, and you fall from somewhere and you wake up like that. Only thing is, I remember the entire journey I took to come back into my body. I remembered where I was. I remembered so many things, and this was like such a realistic experience that I was like dumbfounded. For a while, I was like, oh my god, what's happening? Right after I came back, I heard, you may turn to your right side, get up slowly, rub your palms together, open your eyes, all of that. The standard, if you've done spiritual practices, you know what that is. Then I went to my teacher and I was like, hey, I had this strange experience. And he seemed not surprised whatsoever. He's like, yeah, a lot of people have these experiences because we're living this lifestyle and we're doing this. And, this is a very non rare occurrence when we live this way. We're more sensitive to things. We can leave our bodies at will. A lot of yogis can do that because they had that much of detachment from a lot of world things, and the body was just like an instrument to get from point A to point B. But then it was not like like we had like a nice conversation. He didn't say all this, but then I'm also adding to it based off of the research and knowledge that I gained over the years after that experience as well. It's like it's like energies, dense energies. Tamasic energies make you tied more to your body in this earthly realm, but like the more sattvic, the lighter you are. Ayurveda talks about this, and the foods and the company and the energies we surround ourselves with contributes to whether we're operating on a tamasic, rajasic, or sattvic. And sattvic is always having more access to the ethereal quality of our existence and the etherness of all of it. I digressed, but I spoke to him and he was like, I wouldn't read too much into it because this is just an experience. Don't break your head trying to, like trying to make sense of it. I was like, okay, cool. But then this is where it gets really freaky, and this is where that experience was like validated for me that I traveled outside my body, and it was not just like a dream or a visualization. Because it could have been, right? It could have been like me, my brain just being so homesick that I found myself at home, even though it felt so real, even though it felt like, it was crazy. And I don't think I registered exactly because I did see different people lying down in different places. I don't think, because by the time I opened my eyes, everyone starting to get up and go to breakfast, so it's not like I could verify like, oh, this person that I saw when I came back into the room was lying right here or right there. So that was like a lot of information, so I don't think that I could have used to verify. But I did call my dad and I asked him if he was reading the paper, drinking coffee, looking at the balcony at that time in that particular position, and was he wearing that particular shirt? And he's like, yes. How did you know? I was like, wow, okay. Then I asked my mom, like, hey, were you talking on the phone with this particular auntie? This you were 15 minutes ago. And she was like, yeah. How did you know that? So I think that was the cherry on top for me. That was like, okay, like there's, of all the clothes my dad has, that's the one shirt I saw, and that was the shirt he was wearing. And of all the people my mom could have been talking to on the phone, she was talking to that particular person that I heard her talking to when I visited home during my shavasana. So that was pretty cool for me, and that really reinstated my faith in the fact that we do go on after our bodies. I have a lot to say about this particular topic. This is one of one of my favorite stories to share, because it was such, it was really cool that I could remember the whole thing. There have been many instances where you know I, I have a lot of out of body experiences actually to share. I've had like a couple of them that are pretty notable, but this is my favorite of all of them. But I will make more videos to share more personal experiences about these, because I have more stories like this. I've done past life regression therapy. I've delved into all of this. I've seen different lifetimes, and although I cannot really document and tell you everything in detail, I can tell you that from my point of view, from the perspective I have of having had these experiences, I can 100% say that our minds and our consciousness is not tied down to our bodies. It exists independent of our bodies, and we can travel even without the vehicle of our bodies, with on the thought level. And I think that's pretty cool. So that's it for today's video. I just wanted to really share this experience, and talk more about these things in the upcoming videos as well. If you've had a near-death experience, I know my channel is still growing and the comment section is not all that active, but if sometime in the future this channel does gain more traction in general, I would love to hear your story. So if you've had like a near-death experience or an out-of-body experience, please do share with me in the comments below, or feel free to hit me up on my socials. I will mention them in the description below. And thank you so much for watching. I really loved sharing this story with you guys. I will definitely bring more such stories to you, because I have a lot of them. I've also been delving into human design, discovered that I'm a manifestor, and once I delved into that and uncovered a lot of things under human design, started making a lot of sense to me, and I have some insights on that as well. So maybe my next video will be about human design specifically for manifestors. But yeah, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, turn on all the post notifications so we can stay connected, and I will see you next time. Bye.